What do you think of if I put the words artificial intelligence and ethics into the same sentence? What comes to mind? Is it images of killer robots roaming the planet? Maybe it's fake news targeting particular social groups with political messages. Or could it be Amazon Alexa or Google Home listening in on your most intimate conversations? These are all disturbing images of a dystopian world. These images illustrate the tendency of the human mind to think first of threat. Bad news is good news when it comes to grabbing your attention. But I want to present a balanced account. There are good images too. Medical applications of artificial intelligence have the promise of a world where billions of people can live healthy, long, disease-free lives. A combination of artificial intelligence and robotics can do all those dull, dirty and dangerous jobs needed to provide for our material needs. But then again, what will life be like if we're relieved of all the tasks that are essential to our existence? Will lack of purpose make life meaningless? Or will we be inspired by the opportunity to follow our every curiosity?
This is AIethics.AI, offering an analysis of these issues.
I'm Rod, and I'm joined by my colleagues Ava.
Hello.
And Rob.
Hello.
To discuss the many emerging issues in artificial intelligence ethics. The aim is to strip down the big issues into the essentials and discuss these in a way that's accessible to both experts and non-experts alike.
What are ethics? In this video we look at what ethics are and their relevance to artificial intelligence. Let's just go straight in. Ethics is deciding what is good and what is bad. It's evaluation generally, and what is right and wrong. That's the evaluation of behavior or actions. Ethics are prescriptive rather than descriptive. That is, it says what should be the case rather than what is the case. There are some tweaks on that, but let's save them for later. We can think of what should be as determined by values. One set of values might say that A should be the case, while another that B should be. So, if I value honesty over loyalty, then I may give up my criminal friend to the police. The other way round and I won't. So ethics is evaluation in the context of a value system. Now, what's a value system?
First, here's a simple way of thinking about it. We'll bring in the complications later. In researching this, I came across a website that lists 418 different values. Sounds like a lot. Here's a sample from near the beginning. Abundance, accountability, beauty, change, and chastity. Clearly, these are all things that you can argue about whether they're good or bad. Abundance may be good if you're a farmer harvesting a crop. It may be bad if you're a commodities trader holding a futures option that's betting on shortages. Accountability may be good unless you're a fraudster evading detection. We often say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Some people welcome change, others hate it. Chastity also may be influenced by your point of view.
A graphic equalizer model of values.
Try thinking of it this way. There's one enormous bank of 418 sliders, one for each value. You can push each slider full up to good or full down to bad, or leave it somewhere in between. Let's say that where you position all these sliders represents your value system.
Another person's settings would be their value system.
Or maybe one religion would set the sliders one way and another a different way. Or maybe the settings could represent the differences between different cultures or social groups.
That's kind of a neat and an easy way to think of it.
Only trouble is, it's not that simple. So, here are a few of the factors that complicate this simple model.
First, values can change over time. Not only will a person's values change over a lifetime, but they can change almost from moment to moment. Somebody can point out something that you hadn't taken into account, and you can change your values just like that. That sausage may taste nice, but have you considered what it's made of?
Values can be influenced by social norms and persuasion. So, a teenager might have a different set of values when with their friends than when with their parents.
Not all values are relevant all the time. Different sets of values come into play in different situations. When I'm choosing what to wear, I'm more concerned about fashion and the weather than I am about compassion or accountability. Values are bounded, contextual and situational.
Also, values can be in tension with each other. I may want to be both honest and loyal, but I can't be both when my friend has just committed a crime. Values can conflict between the short and the long term. I may want to buy this now, but it will leave me less to spend later.
Lastly, although it often seems that values drive behaviour, often they're not more than a post hoc justification used to rationalise after the event why you did something. You often act on impulse and make up a good story about why afterwards. So, for all these reasons and more, the graphic equalizer model of value systems only works up to a point. The settings for the sliders may be defaults, but they can move around in response to time, situations, people, arguments, both external and internal, hypotheses, judgments, interpretations, and other values.
It may make sense to consider the settings on clusters of relevant values to be the outcome of a search for suitable configurations or patterns sufficient to achieve some purpose, where the purpose itself is a function of hypothesis and interpretation of an ambiguous set of circumstances.
That's quite a complicated sentence, so let's just take it apart for a moment. So you're in a situation, say you're in a restaurant and somebody's shouting. It's not clear what's going on. It's ambiguous. You notice that it's a man at a table shouting at a waiter, and you hypothesize that he's complaining about the food. You feel uncomfortable and wonder if you should do something. It would be embarrassing to intervene, but you want to calm things down. So you wait a few seconds to see what happens.
Here, being embarrassed is bad, but restoring calm is good. The two values are in tension with each other, so you wait and let the circumstances unfold to determine which value will win out. If the shouting stops, then fine. If it does not, you will feel driven to intervene.
Values are not fixed and principled entities that we seem to expect them to be. Rather, they're somewhat slippery and can even to some extent be individually redefined to meet requirements. Take, for example, the particularly slippery nature of truth. Perhaps that's why Groucho Marx quipped, "I have my principles, but if you don't like those, I have some other ones."
Virtuous values. Values can be put into different categories. So here, for example, are some values normally associated with being virtuous: honesty, truthfulness, trustworthiness, integrity, consistency, fairness. And here are some other values that are less to do with virtue but also tend to either drive or explain behavior: autonomy, belonging, wealth, status, profit, security. Other stories about ethics.
So far we've looked at ethics from the point of view of value systems, but there are several other viewpoints that we can just touch on.
Deontological ethics. This is ethics based on fixed rules, like "thou shalt not kill" or "thou shalt not steal." Immanuel Kant was a great fan of these and thought that you should always tell the truth, even when it meant telling an axe murderer where your friend was when he was looking for him.
Consequential ethics. This type of ethics judges an action by its outcome. So, utilitarianism, the greatest good to the greatest number, is a consequentialist ethic. Consequence can be contrasted with intent. A bad consequence may not have been intended. A bad intent may have a good consequence. In general, intent tends to trump consequence, but both tend to weigh on the judgment of an action.
Ethics, social norms, regulations and the law are all related. They are all forms of control on behavior. Ethics are at the softer and more flexible end. Laws are more defined and more enforceable. In the regulation of society, the law plays only a small part. Most of what goes on within and between people is governed by far softer mechanisms, including internal controls such as principles of fairness and the avoidance of emotions such as guilt, remorse and shame.
Likewise, when it comes to artificial intelligence and robots, legal controls will just be the tip of the iceberg. Ethics will need to guide both the development and the operation of these artifacts. Autonomous intelligence systems will not only require ethical design, but also, eventually, ethical regulation will need to be embedded into every aspect of their operation. Given the slippery way in which value systems configure and reconfigure to suit complex, multi-layered contexts of ambiguous and volatile circumstances, embedding ethics into artificial intelligence and robots is going to be a challenging engineering problem.
Credits. Parts were taken as follows. Main narrator:
Rod Rivers.
Eva, a synthetic voice called Serena.
Rob, a synthetic voice called Lee.
The video is available on the website AIethics.AI and on YouTube. It was scripted and edited by Rod Rivers. The audio was created in WavePad using the synthetic voices available within the speech-to-text facility. Royalty-free music came from bensound.com.